2 at the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And a little bit of rain out there this morning.
Yeah, a little rain, especially down south and east of Utica, but overall not too bad of a start. Temperatures also pretty mild. Let's take a look at them outside right now. We are starting out in the low 60s in the Utica-Rome area. Mid-60s heading out to Syracuse and pushing 70 up in Watertown again. It's the warm spot here in New York State, I guess, early today. And a look at, for example, Cooperstown early this morning. Although there might be a few passing sprinkles, this is not a downpour or anything that's extremely notable. You can see, of course, some of that light rain falling in Cooperstown early today. We zoom out a little bit. We're seeing this rainfall slowly moving its way north and east. And so today, a passing light sprinkle possible, but rain chances really not too high. We are trending a little more dry as we head into the middle of this week. We'll have more details on that. Plus, we're going to see a lot more heat and humidity soon, especially as we approach next week. So next 12 hours, a passing light shower and highs in the low 70s. And coming up in a few minutes, we're talking about a heat dome, what it is and why we're seeing it next week. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. President Trump
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Tuesday morning. Time now is 5:09, and as you head out to work today, you'll be encountering some areas of fog, some light rain, and just overall damp start to your day. But much of the morning actually isn't terribly damp. A look at some of the roadways early today. Some minor slowdowns, especially in those hilltop areas. You can see here, Oneonta, we've got some fog in some of the hilltops early today. 59 in Oneonta right now, so it's actually a little cooler south than it is here in the Mohawk Valley. And the radar picking up on some of that light rain currently passing through Cooperstown and Oneonta early today. You head up into the Utica area. Well, it looks pretty dry, but again, a couple of these sprinkles could pass through parts of Herkimer, Little Falls, and parts of the Mohawk Valley. So today, you head out to work, you got some patchy fog and rainfall. Temperatures in the 60s, climbing into the 70s by this afternoon with, again, a passing shower. Really, the rainfall today, not only that notable. We are looking at some warming days ahead, especially tomorrow and on Thursday. We'll talk about how warm we get, plus even warmer temperatures by next week for the first week of summer in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Happening today, residents in the Vernon...
Question for you. Did you dispute your ticket yet?
The Oneonta Cam is brought to you by Semicron Danfoss. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. On this Tuesday, we are tracking a damp start to your day today. In fact, a live look in Utica right now. As Gary mentioned earlier, the roadways look a little bit on the wet side from some overnight rainfall. Now, today, at least early today, the rain is not really that widespread. Much of it is out in the capital region, Catskills area, and in the southern portion of New York State. But here locally, maybe a passing sprinkle. And so today's temperatures will be peaking in the low 70s with that isolated rain chance. Do you have any evening plans today? Again, what the truck takes place today. Maybe have that umbrella handy or dress accordingly where you might get a light sprinkle on you. Either way, it's not entirely dry, but it's not a washout either. And we can see this rainfall pattern due to this approaching low pressure from the south. And much of this rainfall actually stays south and east of us as we head into much of Wednesday itself. So today, not really a washout. Tomorrow, not really a washout. Our Thursday, as I mentioned earlier this week, is our best chance for rainfall. Even then, some of these rain showers, even some thunderstorms, might hold off until after sunset. So let's take a look right here. This morning, passing shower, primarily south and east of Utica. Same thing this evening and tonight, mainly quiet. Wednesday starts out mostly cloudy with a few passing sprinkles, even some sunshine by the afternoon. But the latest trend has those afternoon thunderstorms. If you tuned in yesterday, this map had a lot more reds and greens and thunderstorms passing over us. This morning, it's trended a lot differently. The front's moving slower than anticipated, so it's going to take a while for that rain to move in. And once it does, it's really going to lose that access, that instability. You need that heat and humidity for those storms to really fire up. So once you lose that, they begin to fall apart. So tomorrow looking a lot more dry compared to previously thought. Then by Thursday, we start out dry, already in the low 80s by noontime with increased humidity, a few spotty thunderstorms, and then we cool down into the 60s overnight with some more rain heading into early Friday morning. I mentioned we have a heat dome next week. This is not over New York State, just focused on that. It's for much of the east coast of the U.S. Now, what does that mean? It means we're going to get a surge of heat and humidity next week. We've got 80s Wednesday and Thursday, isolated storms, scattered thunderstorms Thursday, and an isolated thunderstorm Friday. But look at this. Next Monday, first days of summer in the 90s. So we're going to see some serious heat begin to move in. And that's something that we haven't really talked about all too much this year. In fact, I think a month ago, if we were to say we hit 90 this year, you'd probably think that we're just cracking an old joke with how cold and rainy it was in May and even for much of the late winter. So I think that finally seeing some 90s, we realize, hey, maybe you have a cold winter and a cold spring, but it doesn't always mean that summer's going to be cold.
Yep.
So
summer's on its way now. Eric, thanks. The time right now is 5:20. Still ahead of you once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore. A bit damp outside here in the Utica area this morning. Meteorologist Eric Gage is tracking some rain on the radar. Hey there, Eric.
Hey, Gary. Yeah, we're looking at some light rain at this hour. It's not heavy, but it's still noticeable. In fact, we'll take a look at what's going on across the state right now. Rain reports in Albany as you head out east. And mostly cloudy skies here in the valley, temperatures in the low 60s. Light drizzle in Cooperstown. So depending on your location, you might be encountering that, especially as you head down into the Fulton Montgomery County area, as well as down in, of course, the capital region. But for much of the Mohawk Valley, heading toward Utica and Rome, the area is dry. To our south, we can really see where this trend of rain is heading, mainly east of us, but again, a stray shower can't be ruled out. So we're tracking rain chances today, light rain chances. The next few days actually looking a little more dry, but the main story here today, in fact, mainly focused on next week, a lot more heat and humidity on the horizon. So today's highs in the low 70s with some light rain shower chances here and there. We are tracking, of course, that heat over the next few days and that heat wave expected next week in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. President Trump made an abrupt...
One question for you. Did you just your ticket yet?
The Oneonta Camp is brought to you by Semicron Danfoss.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Tuesday morning. Our photo of the day today takes us to Waterville. Shout out to those of you watching from Waterville this morning. And the photo submission is of a close-up shot of a bumblebee. And look at the detail on this bee here. Massive bees, and of course, one of the great pollinators that help our ecosystem out. So if you see a bumblebee again, They're helping out. As long as you don't disturb it, it won't sting you. Let it be, and, well, I guess, pun intended, let it be. Still, submit your photo to the link right there in the top of your screen, WKTV.com/weather/pics. The chance to have your photo featured right here on News Channel 2 at sunrise. So we're talking increased heat and humidity as you look ahead into the near future. Now, we're going to get a taste of it tomorrow and Thursday in the 80s with higher humidity and even a chance of a stray thunderstorm. But as we head into next week, primarily Monday, that's when we're going to start seeing that true heat in the 90s, heat index values maybe in the mid to upper 90s. And so if you haven't put in those ACs yet, or if you're we're not a fan of the cooler weather, you got some on the way. We're going to talk a bit more about this and why it's taking place in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Now to the Knicks at the Thunder in Game 5.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. On this Tuesday, we are tracking some light rain to our east and to our south. And look at downtown Utica. Some of that actually passed over the city. You got some damp conditions out there. But aside from some fog and some light drizzle early this morning, weather isn't really that impactful. Radar and satellites picking up on much of this rain, primarily staying south and east of central New York today. This includes, of course, the Catskills, the Capital Region, and heading into the New England coast for much of Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. But today, there could be an isolated light sprinkle. Otherwise, expect mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the low 70s. Have any evening plans today? So far, maybe keep that umbrella handy, but it's not expected to be anything like a downpour. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't cancel any plans this evening if you have any plans, for example, what the truck taking place tonight. So we look at the bigger picture here, and we've got that rain primarily staying to our south and to our east. We've got more rain chances by Wednesday morning. Again, a lot of that stays to our south and east. And what's happening tomorrow, it's pretty interesting. It's looking a little more dry, and here's why. So we've got clouds today, maybe a few sprinkles. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, lows in the low 60s. It's a warm start to your Wednesday, already in the upper 60s in the Mohawk Valley with some light sprinkles out to our west. Sunshine will peek out. Now, yesterday at this hour, our Skycast showed thunderstorms, downpours, and these little red blotches on the Skycast here. But this time, it's looking quiet. In fact, it's looking mainly quiet for the evening hours. And you can see some of them starting to form out west, but watch, as they move east, they fall apart. You've got heat and humidity. Those are what you need for thunderstorms. If these storms arrive later than anticipated, you're going to lose that heat and humidity, and these storms just don't have the fuel to work off of. They'll just fizzle away. And that's likely the case tomorrow. Maybe an isolated thunderstorm, but it's not expected to be as scattered as thought yesterday. Now, Thursday, it might be a little more active with a few scattered thunderstorms throughout the day. You could luck out and not see one at all. That's just the way these storms work. But either way, we're all going to see the higher heat and higher humidity in the upper dew points in the low 80s, or I should say temperatures in the low 80s and dew points in the low 70s. We've got a heat dome on the way next week. What does that mean for us? It means you're going to get this surge of tropical heat for much of the East Coast, including central New York. We're going to get a taste of it today, or I should say tomorrow and Thursday. But as you head into Monday, we're going to see some true summertime heat, Gary. We're talking low 90s. Feels like temperatures in the mid 90s with that humidity on the way. It's going to feel like central Florida in summertime. So I think a lot of folks might be eagerly waiting for those warmer days.
The air conditioners have had it easy so far.
Yes, and I think it's time for pool weather, Gary.
Eric, thanks. Well, in Europe,
News with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And a bit of a moist morning out there.
Yeah, some light fog, light drizzle, but otherwise not really too bad out there temperature-wise. I'll look at the current conditions as you head out to work this morning. We're in the low 60s, and we'll see some warming trends throughout the day today into the low 70s as well. We got some rain out in the Albany area, sunshine out in Buffalo. We're going to see pretty much a mix of the two here today. We're going to see maybe a passing light sprinkle, otherwise mostly cloudy skies with a maybe faint glimpse of sunshine. Cooperstown, a live view out there right now in the southern valleys. We're still seeing a few areas of light rain showers, especially as you head down into the Catskills area of New York State, especially even farther south into downstate. We got some of those rain showers down there as well. But you head north and west, and things are looking a little more dry. So today, we got some light rain chances, not very high rain chances, but they're there. The overall week itself is trending a little more dry. We'll have more details on that. Plus, we're going to see a whole lot more of heat and humidity soon as we turn the page into the first days of summertime, which is right around the corner. Either way, expect mostly cloudy skies today, temperatures in the low 70s. And also coming up, we are tracking a heat dome that's going to be impacting much of the east coast of the U.S. We'll explain what it is and why it's important for our weather next week in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast, never more than 10 minutes away. President Trump.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Time now is 6:10 on this Tuesday morning. And as you head out to work today, you've got maybe some patches of fog and some light drizzle. But other than that, a look at the traffic tracker this morning. Lots of green across the board, no accidents to report of. As we take a live look in Oneonta, it appears to be a gloomy start to the day with these clouds and fog out in the distance and temperatures in the upper 50s. However, again, this rainfall today, which as you can see here in parts of Otsego County, not really the case as you head up farther north and to the west, with a lot more dry weather near Camden, Ava, Boonville, heading toward Old Forge. Much of that rainfall will be focused to our south and to our east. That includes, of course, mainly the Catskills area. You may look out Oneonta, Cooperstown with not nearly as much rain today. But again, this morning, patchy fog and rain showers. This afternoon, a few light sprinkles, otherwise mostly cloudy skies and highs in the low 70s. We're tracking, of course, those warmer days tomorrow and Thursday, increased humidity, and also even higher temperatures by next week in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Happening today, residents in the...
Did you get your ticket yet?
The Oneonta Cam is brought to you by Semicron Danfoss. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Time now is 6:17 on this Tuesday, and we are tracking a mainly dry start, but I would say also somewhat damp. A look at downtown Utica early today. We are tracking some areas of patchy fog and some light drizzle, but for much of the area, it's a scene like what we just saw there in Utica with just mainly cloudy skies. Much of that rainfall falling in the Catskills and parts of the downstate area of New York State, as well as the New England coast. But you had here, especially north and west of Utica, it's a lot more dry. And we're going to see that trend for much of the day today. Rainfall not really that widespread and not really that heavy either. So if you have any evening plans, temperatures will be in the low 70s with clouds and maybe a light sprinkle. So keep that umbrella handy just in case, but don't really expect a whole washout. For example, with the truck taking place tonight, should really have no concerns for that weather-wise. So as we look at the bigger picture here, we've got multiple weather systems impacting our area for the next few days. The most notable of them, this cold front coming in from the northwest, heading into Wednesday night into Thursday. And there are some changes in the forecast. And I'll explain why. It's actually on the drier side tomorrow. But at least initially today, a few passing light showers, primarily south and east of Utica. By tonight, we'll see temperatures go from the 70s down into the upper 60s, not really cooling down. We got that south wind kicking in tomorrow morning. And then clouds turn to sunshine. We're already in the low 80s by 2 p.m. Now, yesterday at this hour, our Skycast showed a lot more of patches of blue and thunderstorms, and Skycast today showing something different. Why is that the case? Well, the front is moving slower than anticipated, which means that if it arrives later in the day and those temperatures cool down or the setup doesn't quite support these thunderstorms, they're going to start falling apart, as you can see here, as we cool down in the low 70s overnight. And Thursday morning, if you thought Wednesday morning was warm, 70s to start out your day. Thursday, already in the low 80s. Thursday, a better shot for some scattered thunderstorms across the area. Following this week, though, we are tracking a heat dome arriving over much of the East Coast next week. And that'll bring with it some serious summertime heat. We get a taste of it tomorrow and Thursday, mid-80s to low 80s with increased humidity. But we're going to see that heat and humidity climb as early as Monday of next week, already having temperatures in the 90s, heat index in the mid-90s, and it might stick around for quite a few days. So we're going to seriously feel that heat, and I think a lot of folks eager to get out in the pools.
Yeah.
We got some great pool weather next week.
Sure, Eric, thanks, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on. Thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Libator. A bit of a damp morning out there, but things are drying out. Meteorologist Eric Gage is actually, though, tracking some rain on the radar, right?
Yeah, that's right. Some light rain, though, and similar to yesterday, the rainfall will be sporadic and might not last all day long. In fact, a look outside right now, we've got temperatures in the 60s across the state, maybe in the upper 50s in parts of the Mohawk, or I should say the southern tier and the capital region. But a look in Cooperstown early today, again, it's a damp start due to the fact that parts of the southern valleys have seen the most rain this morning. But again, the rainfall not really that heavy, just some light sprinkles, probably down toward Worcester. But for much of the area, the rainfall is staying to our south and to our east. And that'll be the common trend throughout the day today. We can't rule out an isolated shower or a light shower, but for much of the area, it's going to be mostly dry. And on top of this rainfall today, it's also looking a little more dry tomorrow, and even later on in the week. We'll explain why for that. But also, we're going to see a lot more heat and humidity as we look ahead beyond this week into next week. We're getting a taste of it, especially by tomorrow and by Thursday. But again, today, we're not really going to see that heat yet. Still, high temperatures will be in the low 70s with clouds, maybe a passing shower. We are tracking that heat and humidity tomorrow, maybe some storm chances as well. We'll break down that coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. President Trump made an abrupt departure from the G.
Storm Tracker 2 team, where we track storms.
Seriously injured?
Channel 2 is brought to you by Holland Farms Bakery and Deli.
The Oneonta Camp is brought to you by Semicron Danfoss.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Tuesday morning. Our photo of the day today takes us to Waterville. Shout out to those of you watching from Waterville this morning. And this photo is a close-up shot. Some of my favorites of, I've seen this flower before. Don't quite know the name though, but I do know the bee, a beautiful bumblebee there. One of nature's great pollinators. And again, if you see a bumblebee, they're big bees, but they're not aggressive bees. You see them if you let them maybe mind their business and let them pollinate. They won't bug you. Just let them be, pun intended. Still, though, if you have a photo like this you'd like to share with us, you can send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics. So today, it's not going to be that warm out. Still low 70s, so it's not cold either. By tomorrow and Thursday, we're going to see some increased heat and humidity in the low 80s both days. And this will be a taste of what's to come as we look ahead to Monday of next week. Look at this. No, this is not a typo. 92 the high Monday, and that might be the first day of several days of warmth, heat, and humidity. So we're going to track that, plus the storm chances over the next few days coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The Boilermaker Kids Run is a
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Some low-lying clouds on the Cavie Tower camera. Other than that, and some patchy fog, it's mostly dry here in the Utica area. A live look at downtown right now. Roadways are slowly drying up in what was a pretty unsettled overnight. In fact, some spots in Otsego County still witnessing a few light sprinkles and rain showers. As we head throughout the day today, we'll experience maybe a passing light shower, but much of this rainfall activity stays in the capital region, Catskills, and the New England area of the Northeast. If you have any plans for the evening, heading out to say what the truck, you've got temperatures in the low 70s, maybe a passing light shower. So keep that umbrella handy, but nothing really to cancel plans for today. Not too bad out there. It'd be different if it was a cold rain, if it was 50s and maybe a passing shower. But today, not quite the case. So we've got a pretty somewhat active stretch of weather between now through the end of the work week. A series of fronts, most notably this front that's arriving heading into Wednesday night into Thursday. A lot of this rainfall activity today and tomorrow staying to our south and east. But either way, that front is going to move its way into our area regardless as we look ahead to Thursday, as you can see here. So we look at the skycast today. We've got those rain chances. Again, a lot of this takes place south and east of Utica. So if you're in, say, Little Falls, Cooperstown, Oneonta, you have a higher chance of seeing rain than, for example, if you're in Utica, Rome, Camden, Boonville. So today, maybe a passing shower, otherwise mainly dry weather. Tomorrow we start out warm, upper 60s, eventually seeing some sunshine by the afternoon. And unlike what we saw yesterday in our skycast, rainfall activity or storm activity looks a lot less intense, or even any storms at all. That front's moving a little slower than anticipated. So because of that, maybe a few thunderstorms out west. They'll weaken as they move their way east. Either way, tomorrow looking a lot more dry than what was thought yesterday. Still, though, it's a warm start. Low 70s for your Thursday. A few scattered showers and downpours, even some thunderstorms Thursday evening. But again, the entire day does not appear to be a complete washout. As you look ahead to next week, as I mentioned, we are tracking a heat dome for much of the East Coast, including our area. And heat domes, when they take place, usually in the summertime, right over Bermuda, they'll start to produce warm temperatures. How warm? Well, we get an early taste of it Wednesday and Thursday. The heat dome kicks in next week. And you can see that alert day icon there. A high of 92 with feels like temperatures likely in the mid-90s. So we've got that heat on the way, humidity on the way too. It's not just that dry heat. So it's going to feel a lot more tropical out there as we head into next week.
Bermuda, Bahamas.
Yes, it'll feel like Bermuda, 100%.
Eric, thanks. Well, a pride flag up at a now, and Eric, it seems to have dried out nicely.
Yeah, we have cloudy skies, but overall pretty dry out there this afternoon. A look outside across the Mesonet camera network you can see here. Still generally overcast in a lot of spots here. As you head farther south and to the east is where you still could see some light drizzle and light sprinkles. In fact, that's the case right now. Rain showers reported in Glens Falls, Albany, and Poughkeepsie. Much different story as you head out west. 64 Albany, nearing 80 in Buffalo, and we're right in the middle of it here in the Mohawk Valley. So in the upper 60s to eventually low 70s. The radar at this hour still looking mainly dry. You can see all that rainfall primarily staying to our east. Now we could see a few light showers and sprinkles later on this evening. Temperatures still hovering in the low 70s. But by tomorrow and beyond to Thursday, and we could see those warmer temperatures arrive. 80s, higher humidity, a little of a cool down, but then there could be some even greater warmth by next week. We're tracking that, plus the potential for some impactful storms on Thursday. All that and more straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. A Utica man already in jail.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. So far, not a very warm day here in the Mohawk Valley. Things will change, though, as we look ahead to the middle of this week. A live look at Oneonta early this afternoon. Seems quite gloomy out there. A little dark. We got those overcast skies out there. Temperature is 64, so it's a cooler day out there today. And the clouds, especially down south, really preventing those temperatures from climbing. It's a lot warmer as you head out to Buffalo and western New York. We are tracking, of course, some of that rainfall taking place in parts of the New England coast. We've got Catskills as well as the Capital Region. A few more showers could roll in as we head into this evening, light rain showers. So nothing terribly heavy, but as you look ahead to Thursday of this week, we got a cold front arriving. This one, we're going to keep a close eye on. We're not in alert mode yet. We got to wait for some more data to come in for it, but as we're tracking this, there could be some slow-moving storms. We have the pretty much generic setup of types of storms that could turn on the severe side or stronger side. You can see the yellow indicating level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. This might shift west or east or weaken or strengthen. We'll keep a close eye on it. But again, just an early heads up that we might be tracking some impactful weather for your Thursday. But beforehand, we've got these clouds, maybe some light sprinkles and rain showers, and then some isolated thunderstorms tomorrow. It's not going to be a washout, but keep your eye to the sky tomorrow for those thunderstorms. What we're tracking here is this cold front that arrives on Thursday, and the most important part of it is ahead of the cold front. You could see what are called supercells, isolated storms, and those are the ones that could turn on the stronger side. Still here in the Mohawk Valley today, cloudy skies, maybe a stray shower. Much of the rainfall activity taking place south and east of Utica. As we head into Wednesday morning, we'll see clouds give way to sunshine and temperatures climb into the low 80s. So you see here is a few downpours and thunderstorms. They're not widespread. Just, I guess you're unlucky if you get hit by one of them. But then by Thursday morning, already in the upper 60s, low 70s, sunshine to start, and then we could see some of those thunderstorms pass over us, and those are the ones we'll continue to monitor. So, although it warms up into the low to mid 80s tomorrow and on Thursday, it's what happens next week that'll make us finally experience summer-like weather that's been quite a long time in the making. We're talking low 90s in some parts of the area as early as the beginning of next week. And so we have an alert day out too. We got those heat index values or the feels like temperature, hot and humid conditions in the mid 90s. So if you haven't opened the pool yet, definitely some weather to do it. I know some folks already getting out from school, from college, and you got great weather for it.
Perfect timing. Eric, thanks. Well, severe weather is not letting up for millions across the U.S. And that was Richard Engel reporting. Meteorologist Eric Gage joining us now. And Some early morning rain, about 5 o'clock this morning, has all dried up by now.
Yeah, for the most part here in the Mohawk Valley, you just got cloudy skies, upper 60s. Quite the difference, though, where you are, Gary. It's a lot warmer over here. It's a little cold. We're in the 60s in the Hudson Valley. Let's take a look at this in the bigger picture here. You can see you got 60s, low 60s as you head down to the east, and upper 70s, almost 80 out west. And right smack in the middle is central New York. Now, also with the cooler temperatures, we've got some rainfall out in the capital region and for parts of the Catskills too. But we're not out of the woods with rainfall today here in the Mohawk Valley. Maybe a few light showers this evening. And again, these showers are not expected to be heavy by any means. So it's not too bad of an afternoon out there. Tonight, overnight lows going from the 70s down into the 60s. It's going to be a warm start tomorrow and a mostly dry day with an isolated thunderstorm. But we are tracking the arrival of a cold front on Thursday. Ahead of it, there could be some stronger storms. We're tracking that, plus some major heat next week in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez reported to federal prison.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon on this Tuesday. So far, mainly dry in the Mohawk Valley, a little bit more on the unsettled and damp side as you head down south and east. In fact, a live look at Oneonta, it's still cool, cloudy in the 60s at this hour. Still not too bad out there, though. I do say, though, you might appreciate a little more sunshine, which you might get more of, especially by tomorrow and even on Thursday. We look at the radar and satellite. We've just got a bit of a jumbled mess of rainfall across much of the Northeast, with not a whole lot of organization on where they're forming. You can see some showers out south of Cleveland, some in New England, and then dry here in western New York. Now, we could see some of these showers move their way north and east and reach us by this evening. They'll be weakening, lighter, but still, it's possible. So not entirely dry today. In fact, it's going to be a little more dry tomorrow, maybe an isolated storm. Our focus, though, is on Thursday, from the late morning to the early afternoon. We got a cold front moving into our area, but it's what's ahead of that cold front that could produce some severe weather. We'll closely monitor. As you can see here, we got a yellow category for much of the area, level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. And pretty much all the risks are involved with this. The main reason why is ahead of cold front, sometimes we get supercells, which are the storms we watch out for because they could produce the strongest storms, but they could also fizzle out as well. And we're going to wait for tomorrow's data coming in to see how Thursday is going to shape up. For now, though, our initial thoughts are a few scattered thunderstorms. A couple of them could turn severe. Just stay tuned with us over the next couple of days as we monitor that forecast. And this is all driven by a cold front moving in. Now, this is the first cold front that arrives late Wednesday and early Thursday, but this secondary one that sweeps east, this is what we're monitoring by Thursday. A couple of these storms that fire up ahead of that cold front, as you can see there. Following that, things will cool down and severe weather risk ends. Still today, though, cloudy skies, a few spotty showers. Tonight, not really that cool. Upper 60s to mid 60s to start your day. And we'll see sunshine peak out, a pretty nice early afternoon, highs in the low 80s. We'll then start to feel that humidity creep in. And by the evening, maybe an isolated thunderstorm here and there. A warm start to your Thursday, warm and humid start, with some sunshine mixed in with some afternoon thunderstorms. And again, this is the time frame between 10, 11 a.m. and 3, 4 p.m. where we're keeping our guard up for those storms. Still, though, although it's warm and humid tomorrow and Thursday, we got a heat dome arriving next week. What this does, surges in all that heat and humidity from the south, and it will move in just in time for the first work week of summertime. Temperatures in the low 90s, heat index in the mid to upper 90s in some parts of the Northeast. So we definitely got some heat on the way. If you said this a couple months ago, we were in the 50s with rain in early May, you probably would think I got two heads. But today, different story. We're looking at heat on the horizon.
Yeah, it's going to feel like Bermuda.
Yes, Bermuda high. We got that Bermuda-like temperature.
Eric, thanks. Turning now to a major development in the...
Meteorologist Bill Curtis. Cloudy day, but still pleasant outside.
Yeah, I think some of us are going to miss these days going forward. We've got some really hot weather in store down the road. For those of you that are itching for summer, your time is coming. Let's take a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Again, it's been a cloudy day. It hasn't been all that wet, but we can't rule out a passing shower this evening. Temperatures are in the low 70s. Currently at Griffiths in Rome, 71 degrees. This number is up. The dew point's up to 64. It's going to turn noticeably more humid over the next 24 hours. Monday and Tuesday, back-to-back alert days. Temperatures are expected to soar into the 90s. The heat index could approach triple digits early next week. So we've got big changes on the horizon before we get there. It does turn warm and humid starting tomorrow. Not going to be quite that hot. But we are tracking some thunderstorms late tomorrow as well as early Thursday. And again, a lot more heat and humidity in the forecast looking ahead. This evening, cloudy skies. Can't rule out a sprinkle, but most of it's dry. Temperatures in the 60s. And tracking a big warm up in the forecast. Look at the forecast coming up. Chris, back to you.
The wastewater treatment plant in Silver.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. Another cloudy day as expected. This evening, the weather looks pretty comfortable. We're looking at temperatures in the low 70s, so it's not all that cold. I mean, it's pretty cool for June standards, but we're not that far away from average. And we're going to go on the other side of things looking ahead with much warmer weather. In fact, I wouldn't delay in getting that air conditioner set up. You have a couple of days before it gets really uncomfortable, but check it out. We've got increasing humidity this week. Tomorrow and Thursday, you're really going to notice the humidity. Probably good days to run the air conditioner, especially at night. The overnight lows are going to come way up. We're going to be in the mid to upper 60s a couple of these nights. And then next week, the heat really kicks up a notch. Looking at temperatures close to 90 degrees heading into Monday and Tuesday. And overnight lows will likely not fall below 70. So some pretty intense heat on the way here early next week. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's been pretty quiet. Can't rule out a sprinkle here this evening, but I think for the most part things are going to stay dry across central New York. Tomorrow we do have the risk of a few thunderstorms. We're not expecting any severe weather, but some gusty winds and locally heavy rain are possible, especially in the afternoon. A reminder, you can always get weather alerts to your phone by downloading our Storm Tracker 2 app. Again, coming in very handy throughout the summertime. Looking to cut the lawn, last couple of days it's been pretty gloomy. You can get a cut in tomorrow. Thursday and Friday we'll be dealing with thunderstorms, though. Our MoCast is brought to you by Clinton Tractor. Again, a significant change in the weather pattern is expected to take place early next week. We're going to get into what's called a heat dome, where we could have consecutive days above 90 degrees. And we're tracking very high levels of humidity to go along with this. Again, this is for early next week. So we look at the bigger picture. We're going to continue to be under the influence of low pressure, but winds come from the south, which means the humidity rises along with the temperatures over the next 24 hours. Tonight, overnight lows will only drop into the mid-60s. A couple of showers are possible, generally south of the Mohawk Valley. Tomorrow, clouds give way to sunshine, and it's a pretty nice day. There is the chance of a pop-up storm, but we're not expecting a washout. Temperatures climb into the 80s. Tomorrow night, the weather looks pretty mild. We're only down into the mid to upper 60s. A cold front arrives Thursday. This is expected to produce thunderstorms in the early afternoon, followed by cooler conditions heading into the end of the week. Temporarily, that is. Cloudy skies tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, chance of a passing storm in the afternoon. Otherwise, a very warm and humid day, a high of 83. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Thunderstorms Thursday, 82. They linger into Friday, 78. Heading into the weekend, we could see a shower Saturday, but most of the weekend looks dry and it's very warm. Temperatures in the 80s. Back-to-back alert days next week. Air temperatures in the low 90s. The heat index could be approaching triple digits.
Wait, so if Sunday ends up over 90, or
Be a heat
Wednesday ends, okay, all
So
right.
3 in a row.
3 in a row, or close enough.
We're close enough. Yeah, right. All right. Thanks, Phil. Well, the pride flag from a Syracuse church.
Meteorologist Bill Cardis, and talk about how the temperatures are changing.
Yeah, we're seeing a pretty significant change in the weather pattern for early next week. We have something called a Bermuda High, an area of high pressure, a heat dome that's going to be building. It's going to rearrange through the jet stream, and this is why our weather is going to dramatically change here as we head into the second half of June. Looks like we're going to be talking about some pretty hot temperatures here Monday, Tuesday, and probably Wednesday next week. Temperatures could make it into the 90s here, and that's just the air temperature. You factor in the humidity, it can be a lot hotter than that. Live look outside. It's been another cloudy, kind of gloomy day. Hasn't been all that wet, though. Just a few sprinkles out there, especially in the higher terrain. And it stays generally dry this evening. Temperatures will be a lot warmer moving ahead. Temperatures in the low 80s tomorrow and Thursday. A lot more humidity that goes with it as well. And then we start making the climb next week. Temperatures starting in the upper 80s by Sunday. If you're taking the dog out for a walk this evening, it's going to be a pretty comfortable evening to do that. Temperatures will be in the 70s. Again, we're expecting dry weather. Tonight's featured dog, Apollo from Little Falls. If you want to be part of this, head to Skycast WKTV on Facebook. This is brought to you by Nissan. Kristen, back to you.
Dozens of people from several local agencies.
Miracle Drawing Ticket in person. Just stop by these local Walmart locations from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They'll be on site accepting cash, check, or credit card. So come get your children's Miracle Drawing Ticket before they're gone.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Good evening. Another cloudy, gloomy day. Temperatures, though, not all that cold. It's pretty comfortable to be outdoors, especially if you're trying to do any sort of work. Live look at Oneonta, 66 degrees. It's in the low 70s across most of the area. I have a feeling some of you are going to want this weather back by this time next week. We've got a pretty dramatic change on the horizon. If you're trying to get the hay cut, it's been a pretty tough spring to do that, although it's important to point out that the last week has been relatively dry. Prior to that, it's been very, very wet. As we move forward, we get back into an unsettled weather pattern. You might be able to get a chance to cut and bale hay over the next couple of days, but the risk for thunderstorms starts to increase Thursday and Friday as a cold front arrives. The humidity is going to be on the rise. We'll really notice this tomorrow and Thursday with dew points in the upper 60s. We'll get a break from the humidity Friday before it starts to build again as we head into early next week. And if you haven't put in the air conditioner, I highly recommend doing that sooner than later. We've got some pretty intense heat on the way for early next week. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. One surprise on our end is that we thought it was going to be a little bit wetter today. That has not been the case, even though it's been pretty cloudy. Aside from a very brief sprinkle, it's been a pretty dry afternoon, and I think that's going to be the case here for this evening. Tomorrow, there is the chance of a shower, maybe a rumble of thunder. That should be pretty isolated. But again, if you are going to be outdoors, you want to have an easy way to get weather information to your phone. You can get instant alerts if thunderstorms are nearby by downloading our Storm Tracker 2 weather app. One positive is that the air quality is good, and it's going to stay that way with the winds coming from the south to southwest. That's not pointing towards Canada, so any wildfire smoke will stay out of our region for the foreseeable future. Our Skywatchers checking in. Bob and Clinton 71, Barneveld 68, West Leiden 68 degrees, Fairfield 67, Cooperstown 69, Westford 68. The weather stays unsettled. Winds come from the south, and that's going to start to bolster the humidity along with the temperatures here for the next 2 days. Tonight, overnight lows only fall into the mid-60s, so it's a pretty mild night. Heading into tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, noticeably warmer. We'll get some breaks of sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures climb into the low 80s. It turns humid. There's the chance of a pop-up shower or storm. Tomorrow night, overnight lows drop into the upper 60s, so a very warm night. And then Thursday, the humidity lingers. We could be talking about a round of thunderstorms during the late morning to early afternoon on Thursday, and some of these could be on the stronger side too, producing some gusty winds and locally heavy rain. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Cloudy skies tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, passing storm in the afternoon, very humid, 83. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Storms possible during Thursday, during the late morning, early afternoon. Friday, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 70s, and then we start to warm up. Temperatures will be in the 80s this weekend, mostly dry, sunny on Sunday, and then hot Monday and Tuesday, alert days. Temperatures in the low 90s, with the humidity making it feel like upper 90s. We'll be right back.
Cardis.
Turning out to be a very comfortable day to be outdoors. Yes, it is kind of gloomy with the cloud cover, but it has been unusually dry. We thought there would be a few more showers out here, but it is dry out there this evening, and if you're looking to get out, it is a pretty nice evening to do that. Temperature of 71 degrees. The dew point, though, is up. It's starting to feel more humid, and that is going to change a lot here over the next 24 hours. Looking ahead, Monday and Tuesday of next week, back-to-back Storm Tracker 2 alert days. We're tracking temperatures in the 90s, some pretty intense heat on the way for early next week. Before we get there, we've got some humidity for tomorrow and Thursday, along with a few pop-up thunderstorms. For the most part, the weather stays pretty dry here heading into the weekend, but then things start to change by early next week with the temperatures really ramping up. Cloudy skies this evening, temperatures in the upper 60s. Again, tracking some humidity along with some thunderstorms throughout the week. A look at the forecasts coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. The students at VVS Central Schools.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Good evening. A comfortable day to be outdoors today. That is going to change as we head throughout the week. The humidity will be on the rise, and eventually the temperatures will be soaring here as we head into early next week. Live look in downtown Utica, 71 degrees, cloudy skies. If you haven't put in the air conditioner, it's time to think about it. We've got a lot more humidity on the way over the next couple of days, but it's next week that's getting our attention. Temperatures are likely to be in the upper 80s by Sunday and into the low 90s Monday and Tuesday. Some pretty intense heat is expected early next week. So again, if you haven't put it in yet, no need to wait. Or if you are going to wait, you're going to be paying a little bit of a price here as we head towards early next week. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Despite the cloud cover, it's been a pretty quiet day. A lot less activity than we were expecting. We thought there would be a few showers out there, but for the most part, it's been pretty quiet. So the weather looks dry this evening and into tonight. Tomorrow, just a few passing showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. The severe weather risk looks pretty low. But if you are going to be outside tomorrow and you want a way to get weather warnings, or even if a thunderstorm is nearby, our Storm Tracker 2 weather app will alert you. And again, it's free to download. Looking to cut the lawn, tomorrow is actually a pretty decent day. If you can beat the storms, or at least the storm chance, that would be early in the day. Thursday and Friday, showers and storms around. Our Mowcast is brought to you by Clinton Tractor. There's a significant change in the jet stream and the weather patterns for early next week that we're expecting. In fact, a big heat dome starts to take over for early next week. This could bring a significant amount of heat and humidity here as we get into early next week. Again, temperatures consecutively in the 90s. Will we be breaking any records? Probably not, but it is likely going to be the hottest temperatures that we've seen in at least a year. So you look at temperatures across the region. Clinton, 71 degrees. Mike and New Hartford, 73. Old Forge, 64. Cooperstown checking in with 69. Low pressure is going to move to the east. Winds come from the south, and that's going to bring humidity as we head into the next couple of days. Tonight, overnight lows drop down into the 60s. Tomorrow, clouds give way to sunshine. It looks like a pretty nice afternoon, but you'll notice the humidity along with warmer temperatures will climb into the 80s. There's a chance of a pop-up thunderstorm, but really shouldn't be a big deal. On Thursday, a cold front arrives. This could produce some stronger storms in the late morning to early afternoon. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Cloudy tonight, a low of 65. Tomorrow, the chance of a thunderstorm, warm and humid. Temperatures in the low 80s. Thunderstorms Thursday, 82. Showers linger into Friday and early Saturday. And then it's all about the heat and humidity. Sunday, 87 degrees into the low 90s, back-to-back Storm Tracker 2 alert days, Monday and Tuesday.
Bring on summer.
It's coming.
All righty, thank you, Bill. Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6.
Man,
my good friend,
I'm
Chief
coming.
Meteorologist Bill Cardis. You know what?
I have to walk from all the way over there
I know.
Hold your horses.
We need you a scooter or something. The weather team scooter.
This is why I'm so thin.
It is. I should be doing that. All right. We've got some possibility of severe risk for weather coming up on Thursday.
On a more serious note,
Yes.
we are watching Thursday in particular. We've got a cold front moving in from the west, and we are keeping an eye on it. It's not quite an alert day. It's not to that level, but be aware, Thursday during the late morning, early afternoon, could have a few storms rolling through. The weather a lot more active over the next couple of days. It turns a lot more humid and a lot warmer too. In fact, if you step outside this evening, you may notice a change in the air. While it's dry, the weather has been slowly changing. The humidity has been creeping up, dew point 65. Temperatures haven't changed at all since earlier today. Even after the sun is set, we're holding at 71 degrees, and that's because we've got a push of warm weather on the way. We're going to see temperatures tonight only in the mid-60s, so not the warmest or not the most comfortable sleeping night here. We're tracking more humidity and a lot more in the way of heat as we look ahead and look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Now to a developing story. The family of
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. It's still pretty cloudy out there tonight and dry, but take a look at this. 71 degrees. That number hasn't changed at all since earlier this evening. So the sun has set and temperatures have stayed the same. If not, they're going to hold steady here over the next several hours because we've got a push of warm weather moving in from the west. It's in the mid-70s, Rochester, Buffalo, Western New York. This is all part of a warm front. We're going to see a big change in the humidity as we head into tomorrow. Just a reminder, if you haven't put in the air conditioner yet, what are you waiting for? I know it's been pretty cool lately, but everything looking ahead does point to humidity, very warm temperatures, especially early next week where it can really ramp up. So don't wait. Put it in sooner than later. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's pretty quiet across the region. A few sprinkles to the south will stay out of our area. Chance of a shower, maybe a rumble of thunder tomorrow. We're not expecting any severe weather. But just a reminder, you can get thunderstorm watches warnings to your phone by downloading our Storm Tracker 2 weather app. Summer solstice is officially Friday. It's the longest day of the year. Well, the longest amount of daylight. 15 hours, 22 minutes. It's also when the sun's rays are directly overhead at the Tropic of Cancer. The weather is going to be warming up. The good news is we won't have to deal with any air quality issues. The weather looks unsettled over the next couple of days. If you need to get the lawn cut, tomorrow should be a pretty good day to do that. But later this week, it does turn wet. Big change in the weather pattern for next week. We're looking at a lot more heat and humidity for the early part of the week. Temperatures can run towards 90 degrees. Weather stays somewhat unsettled over the next couple of days. We've got low pressure swinging through tonight. It continues to bring us clouds. And we're expecting maybe a passing shower, maybe a rumble of thunder tomorrow. Clouds give way to sunshine. It's noticeably warmer and a lot more humid. Temperatures climb into the low 80s. Tomorrow night, the weather looks very warm. We're only down into the upper 60s. Cold front arrives Thursday. This could be accompanied by gusty winds, locally heavy rain. Could be a few embedded stronger storms too. Temperatures climb into the low 80s. Cloudy skies tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, passing thunderstorm, humid. Temperatures in the low 80s. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Showers, thunderstorms Thursday. The weather cools down slightly Friday, but then it ramps up. Winds come from the south Saturday, Sunday. Temperatures in the 80s. Back-to-back Storm Tracker 2 alert days, Monday and Tuesday for the heat. Air temperatures in the low 90s. The heat index maybe triple digits.
It's going to be oppressive.
Yeah.
Real quick, VVS, the budget has passed. The school budget has passed. They just called it in. We'll have much more for you online. Coming up next, the conflict. Time now for a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. Severe weather risk later this week. Just letting everybody know.
Yeah, it's not quite to the alert day level, but we're watching Thursday, particularly in the late morning to early afternoon with a cold front moving through. Yeah, you're thinking cold front. Really? It's been cool out there the past couple of days. Well, things are going to change. We've got humidity on the way. In fact, you might have noticed it tonight. It actually feels a little bit different outside. We're looking at dry conditions on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar, but it's still 70 degrees, the same temperature that it was this afternoon. And the humidity is up. What's going on? Well, we've got a push of warmer weather on the way. It's going to turn a lot more humid tomorrow and especially Thursday. That's going to allow for some fuel for the next round of storms. Tonight, overnight lows only drop into the mid-60s, so it's going to be kind of a relatively mild night, but the really warm weather starts to arrive beginning tomorrow, especially early next week. We've got some hot weather in store. We've got to look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Now to
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look at downtown Utica. A cloudy evening. Temperatures have pretty much held steady. We're at 70 degrees in downtown Utica. We've got some warmer air pushing in from the west, and that is going to make it feel different tomorrow. We're going to have more humidity and warmer temperatures, and it's time to put in the air conditioner. We've got some warm weather in the next couple of days, and you'll need it. If you procrastinate, you're just going to run into the inevitable here. By early next week, we're looking at high temperatures in the 90s. So we recommend people get it installed sooner than later across the region. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. A few sprinkles taking place across the southern valleys, very southern part of Otsego, Shenango County. This is heading south. So we're expecting a generally dry night. Could see a passing shower or rumble of thunder tomorrow, but the risk for severe weather is relatively low. But a reminder, you can always download our Storm Tracker 2 weather app to get instant access to watches and warnings and when lightning or heavy rain is near your area. Summer solstice is Friday, the brightest day of the year. The brightest days of the year are upon us. We get 15 hours and 22 minutes of daylight for Utica. And yes, we do start losing daylight beyond Friday, but it's extremely small amounts. You don't really notice it until early August. One positive about the weather is that the air quality is going to be very good over the next couple of days. We're not going to be dealing with any wildfire smoke. Best day to cut the lawn tomorrow. We do have rain in the forecast Thursday and Friday. Our MoCast is brought to you by Clinton Tractor. Everything is pointing towards some very hot weather early next week. A heat dome is expected to develop. This could potentially bring us a heat wave early next week. It's just a matter of how long it lasts. Right now, it looks like at least 2 days with temperatures well into the 90s, perhaps 3, depending on how Wednesday plays out. Bigger picture shows low pressure moving to the east. We get a chance to dry out, and humid weather starts to roll in from the south. Tonight, overnight lows drop into the mid-60s. Tomorrow, clouds give way to sunshine. Looks like a beautiful day. Very small chance of a pop-up storm. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet. Tomorrow night, it's a warm night. Overnight lows drop into the upper 60s. We are tracking the possibility of a couple of stronger storms during the late morning to early afternoon Thursday. Some question marks as to how this materializes, but again, it is something we'll be keeping an eye on. Cloudy skies tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, a passing storm. A lot more humid and warm, and temperatures in the low 80s. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Storms Thursday, 82. They linger into Friday, 78. Sprinkles Saturday. Most of the weekend looks dry, and then the heat is on next week. Back-to-back alert days due to the heat Monday and Tuesday.
find your favorite pond, pool, shower. It's going to be a hot one.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Coming up next, the conflict